guys, it's me, author Christina Benjamin, and I'm coming to you from my writing room today. I'm busy working on writing book 4, which is supposed to be the 4th and final book in the Geneva Project series, but I wanted to take a break and read a chapter to you because we are due for our next chapter video. So I will be reading chapter 17 from the Geneva Project Truth, so sit back and enjoy. Chapter 17. The lunch bell finally sounded, and I scurried to the dining hall as fast as I could. I wanted to get my food and get to our table quickly, so I'd have as much time as possible to talk with Sparrow and the others. I heard Remy calling after me as I ran down the hall, but I put my head down and kept going, pretending not to hear him. It made me feel bad to ignore him, and my cheeks burned with shame. I was the first one to arrive at our table. Sparrow and Journey joined me shortly, and then Nova. He looked worried, which totally threw me off, because that wasn't what I was expecting. I thought he'd be pretty peeved after last night, and I had a whole speech prepared that I was going to telepath to him, apologizing and explaining that I was ready to work with everyone, so we could get my powers under control. But this whole worried, timid-looking Nova was the last thing I'd expected, and it perplexed me. I just stared at him, unsure of what to do or say. We all sat there silently glancing from one to the other. I could feel the uneasiness, and it was making me squirm because I knew I was the cause for it. They were all unsure of me, maybe even scared, and who could blame them? I was the unpredictable one, turning hands to stone and stopping time on a whim. I was scared of me too. I looked down at my small, rough hands on the thick, dark wood of the dining table. They looked so fragile compared to the oiled, aged wood. Its marred complexion looked like it could stand the test of time, while my hands, well, they looked so plain and ordinary. How could they be the hands of such power and possible destruction? I had to quickly clasp them together to stop them from shaking. I was quivering in my very soul as I tried to fight back the tears that were beginning to form. Nova reached out and grabbed my hands. He felt steady and warm, and I felt his familiar comfort soothing me. I pulled one hand away so I could place it atop his to show my appreciation. Slowly, Sparrow added her hand to the top of mine, and then Journey followed suit. I could actually feel them, feel their support washing over me, calming me, giving me courage, and more importantly, hope. Hope that I would be able to find out the truth behind all of this, and hope that I would be able to handle it all with their help. Even though we could have had a perfect conversation through telepathy, we didn't need to. For the first time, we communicated to each other perfectly through our unspoken bond. Somehow, I knew we each completely understood each other and had the same goal, to understand what my powers were and how to control the magic so we could find out the truth. I was oblivious to the fact that Remy walked over to our table until he cleared his throat. Well, I guess I'm not a part of this pact, so I'll just find somewhere else to go be excluded, he said in a huff. His words broke us all from our trance, and we pulled our hands back. I tried to protest as he turned to walk away, but Nova cut me off. Let him go, Tippy. I didn't know how long he had been standing there watching us all holding hands, staring at each other. It must have looked pretty strange. I looked around the dining hall to see if anyone else had noticed us, but everyone seemed oblivious, caught up in their dull little cliques that I not so distantly longed to be a part of. I stared after Remy and watched him until he disappeared into a crowd, milling about in the opposite end of the hall. It's better this way, Nova said softly. How? I asked bitterly. Well, it's safer, offered Sparrow, back to her class, half-full optimism. You don't need to drag him into this mess until we have it all figured out. That way you can't hurt him. I'm pretty sure I just did, I sulked. Yes, but he'll recover from this. A stone arm, not so much, ribbed Journey. We all glared at him. What, too soon? Aw, come on, it was my arm, she maimed, and I'm okay with it. Let's move on, he said, putting his hands behind his head, looking bored. Yes, let's, I said. What's the plan, I asked, looking to Nova. I have one, but we need to test a few things out first. I want us to meet in the forest every night for the next week at least, and we'll see if we're ready for the next step. Is there anywhere else we can work together besides the forest? It doesn't leave us much time with all the sneaking in and out that we have to do, I said. Well, we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner to discuss things and plan. Anywhere else would look too suspicious, Nova said. He must have been reading my mind again, because I was already thinking of suggesting we go to our secret place behind the palm in the courtyard. He was probably right, though. If we were always disappearing together, it might draw attention. Plus, it would be hard for all four of us to get there. With all of us trying to avoid the Griffs and Tarcasts, someone would surely get caught. And I guess it would be kind of cramped back there anyway. Okay, breakfast, lunch, and dinner to plot, and the forest each night to practice. I'm in, I said, grinning for the first time all day. Me too, said Sparrow. Journey and Nova just nodded. One more thing, though, I added. I have to know the plan. I thought you might say that, said Nova. He was grinning now, too. He leaned in and lowered his voice, drawing us all closer, held by suspense. You want answers? Well, we're going to get them. We're all going to the locker. What? We all exclaimed simultaneously, pushing back from Nova. Are you mad? We don't need much of a plan to get sent to the locker, and I thought we were trying to avoid getting caught, I said in a rushed whisper. The locker is the only place you're going to get the answers we all need. Remember the legend of Lux I was telling you about? Well, how do you think I learned about it? All that time I spent in the locker has paid off. It's not such a dull place when you shed a little light, he said shyly. That's right, I said, suddenly remembering what Nova told me about the locker. I'd almost forgotten about that with all of the chaos of last night. What are you saying, Nova? Asked Sparrow. He leaned in again, serious this time, speaking in a whisper. The legend is down there. It's written on the walls. We need to get to the locker to read it. It'll help us understand Tippy's powers, because if she's who I think she is, he paused. Well, there's just a lot we need to learn. I looked around at our little group. Are you all still in? Yes. Yep, of course. Okay, well, it's settled then. We will meet back here to come up with the best way to get in and out of the locker, and we'll practice those skills when we go to the forest. We need to do it as soon as possible, though, because the New Year's Gala is coming, and we need to have this figured out by then, said Nova. Gong. That's the end of chapter 17. Tune back in next week when Sarah Glynn will be doing a chapter video for chapter 18. Hope you guys enjoyed.